The Yin Yang Master is upon us. No, not the other Yin Yang Master. That one was called Dream of Eternity. This one is just called the Yin Yang Master, based off of the video game on Myoji. So right off the bat, I have to just say, it was kind of good, it was kind of bad, it was kind of all over the place.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Can I teleport myself to the...
When we have the first one, Dream of Eternity, to go off of, if this was the first one we had seen in order, I would probably have enjoyed it a little bit more, but knowing the other side of it, it's kind of just like takes away from it a little bit. I know that, you know, we both came to the conclusion that the story in this one was a little bit all over the place, and that's because this one is based on the video game on Myoji, and the other one is based off of the novel, which is a lot closer to the original story that they had intended. I have to agree, and look out for our follow-up to this as well, where we compare Dream of Eternity to this one. But in this case, like, I couldn't follow motivations, character, plot lines. Like, there was no through line that I could follow as closely and as coherently as Dream of Eternity.
Well, maybe we'll help you out on that one, because a lot of you might be feeling the same way. Really, right off the bat, Qingming is charged with murder with his master, Simu, and he is outcasted from the Yin Yang Bureau. And what that entails is that he becomes, you know, sort of like the master of outcasts of monsters in the monster realm, becomes sort of like this Robin Hood that is, you know, for survival, stealing money from the government. And of course, the Yin Yang Bureau is protecting the Scale Stone, which is the residual spiritual, the residual demonic spirit of the Demon Lord, or the Demon King,
Emperor,
Demon Serpent, Cheng Lu. That is what they've been protecting for centuries or whatever, just to prevent evil from taking over the world. And when the Scale Stone is stolen, he's implicated once again as the traitor, so the Yin Yang Bureau are after him once again. His childhood love interest, Bai Ni, happens to be the chief of the Yin Yang Bureau, and I can't say bureau, like I keep saying burrow, maybe because it's the ferrets and, you know, all of the little crazy monster animals, I keep thinking of a burrow, but it was actually a courtyard that they were living in. In any case, they get entangled into these web of conspiracies set by the man himself, Simu.
And this is where everything just goes off the deep end, because, you know, the only through line we do see is the Scale Stone, the Snow Lady, and Simu, and like, you know, it all goes all the way back to the disappearance when he was charged with, you know, murdering Simu, and then it turns out that Simu was actually, it was just like an illusion by Snow Lady, and that Simu had contracted the Snow Lady to become his familiar, and there was this huge narrative where they would get revenge with the Scale Stone, but like, it took way too many right and left turns from the narrative that I was confused. Like, first we were with Boya in the arena fighting the red belly monster, and then we were back with Qingming and Bai Ni and the Scale Stone, and then back into the monster courtyard, and then there's this bridge battle.
I mean, I would just say that this is kind of the challenges that Chinese movies face all the time. There's just way too much splatter all over you to understand.
Yes.
Right? But like, if you simplify it and you compartmentalize it, then the story is actually really beautiful. If you focus on the beautiful cinematography, the monsters, the level designs, I would probably call it level designs, the special effects, the illusions were amazing, the fight scenes, the choreography was breathtaking, but far and few from quirks and the little splattering of storylines all over your face.
Yeah, if we were to remove ourselves from actually trying to comprehend a through line in the narrative, I could appreciate the fight scenes, the choreography was great, and of course the design and the composition and the CG and the graphics, all of that painted itself as a really well done video game adaptation. And where it falls flat is, of course, as we keep on mentioning, is the story. And while we'll dive deeper into that in our comparison with Dream of Eternity, the only thing I could say is, you know, one just has a solid story that you can consume, and the other is kind of just, here's the world, here's the characters, you probably should know who they are, we're just gonna throw like a quest line that you should know at you.
Well, that's probably an important factor to this. Like, I think they're relying on the video game fans to know exactly what's going on. not thinking about the regular fans like us. But let's talk about the ending here. Like, what happens to Chen Ming? It seems that he was dead. It seems that Chi Mu has succeeded in his plan to taking over the world. He falls to the midst of clouds and whatnot from that bridge, fighting Dante's Vampire Hunter D's hand, giant hand.
Dan Peele's hand.
Yeah, and so what happens actually is that he forces Chanlu, who is like the demon serpent, to become his familiar. And in doing so, turning Changmin the lord of the monster realm. Forever, for eternity. And so all of the connections he had with his familiars, and even Bai Ni, Boya, they're all gone, severed.
And this is probably the part of the movie that I had probably the most connection with in terms of like reaction or emotional resonance, because as their familiar bonds were being cut and the things were like disappearing and they were watching Qing Ming just walk off into the distance, I was like, oh, that's a little bit sad. And I had the same thing when the ferret familiar also had to be killed, and I was just a little bit on the verge there, just a little bit, removing myself from that moment. You know, the connections between characters just weren't there for me. And the biggest one I can mention is Qing Ming and Boya. And of course, I'm not familiar with the source novel or even the video game, but again, it's like watching The Dream of Eternity really affected my enjoyment of this movie, because they had such an awesome dynamic in that movie that in this one I was expecting them not to do the same thing, but to have a similar dynamic between each other.
We keep mentioning Dream of Eternity, and you know, leave it up to you in the comment section below. Do you want us to do a comparison video? Because at this point, I mean, I don't know, maybe you like this movie more than Dream of Eternity. I highly doubt it, but if you like us to if you like us to do a comparison video, because there are things to compare, you know, there's the cinematography, there's the actors, there's the story, there is the ending, you know, there's monsters, and so many different things. But if you want us to do a comparison video, leave your comments in the section below.
But in any case, that'll do it for our reaction to the Yin Yang Master without the hyphen, not Dream of Eternity, on Netflix. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notifications so you know when we post new videos. And as always, we'll see you in the next one.